The streetscape on Rodney Avenue is typical of many East Side neighborhoods, which is to say there aren't a lot of trees. I walked the block. Only 3 out of 73 houses had trees out front. There is a reason for this. The city is cutting down 4 trees in the Maston Council District for every tree it plants. In the neighboring Fillmore District, 3 trees are removed for every new one it plants.
The green infrastructure on the East Side is extraordinarily weak. And you're talking about a section of Buffalo that's dissected by all of these major thoroughfares, which means that on a daily basis, there are thousands of cars and trucks and buses moving through the East Side, spewing all kinds of pollution in the air.
It's a different story across town in the more affluent and white Delaware district. It's got more trees, many more trees, than any other council district. And while the area is losing trees, it's at half the rate of Maston. The disparity isn't unique to Buffalo. American Forests, a conservation nonprofit based in Washington, D.C., has studied the issue in cities across the nation.
We're in the situation of this big tree equity gap historically because of discriminatory policies like redlining and just general disinvestments. The most predominantly white communities nationwide have about 33% more tree canopy cover, and the predominantly wealthiest neighborhoods have about 65% more tree canopy cover than that.
Catherine Faust grew up in the Elmwood Village, once densely populated with towering elm trees. Then, disease struck in the 1950s and 60s, resulting in loss of some 10,000 trees across the city.
I remember the big trucks coming down the street with these giant hoses spraying the underside of the elms.
The city replaced the elms with a variety of maples and linden trees.
And they grew fast and they were cheap. They were the wrong choice.
Trees of all varieties are still coming down. The city cut down over 4,300 trees from 2016 to 2020. They only planted about 1,900 new ones to take their place. Put another way, the city is cutting down trees at twice the rate it's planting them. The city has budgeted nearly $1 million for tree-related operations this year, mostly to cover personnel and contractors. Another $1 million in bonds have been sold this year to cover, among other expenses, the purchase and planting of trees, which costs $150 to $500 apiece. While the city is spending about 1/3 more than it was a decade ago, some residents feel it should be investing more.
The thing that I worry about is that the city forestry department is constantly underfunded.
Trees are about more than aesthetics.
The benefits of trees are in a community go from the biophysical, from health rates, respiratory, cardiac, to deep psychological, fewer ADHD symptoms, fewer sick days at work when people have a view outside of nature. As cities are now heating up, it's becoming more of a life and death infrastructure. Even in Buffalo, where you're going to have extreme heat.
Taylor, the UB professor, said trees are that much more important in a city like Buffalo, whose Black population suffers from many health problems.
What we find are much higher rates of asthma, much higher rates of chronic respiratory disease among African Americans, and other issues that a strong coverage could help to mitigate. I mean, the trees aren't there just to be beautiful. They're there to help cleanse and purify the air.
Experts offer a lot of solutions. The nonprofit Retree Western New York told me they would help water and maintain trees on the city's east side if they could raise the necessary funding. For Channel 2 News, I'm Layne Dowdall with Investigative Post.